Welcome to weekly cryptocurrency update, and what a difference a week can make. And if in case you didn't know, as you hadn't been watching, it's been a massive sell-off for cryptocurrencies, and we're hearing those headlines once again that we've been hearing for the last since Bitcoin started. Actually, that it's the death of Bitcoin, we're told, the end of cryptocurrencies, the whole experiment. Blockchain, all this is just a figment of our imagination that's just evaporated in 1 week. I'm here to tell you that blockchain is not that is here to stay. That is here to stay as much as the internet is here to stay. Individual cryptocurrencies, sure, some of them won't make it, some of them will, some of them are going to go up, some of them are going to go down. But don't let anybody tell you that blockchain is whatever, because that's so nonsensical. The technological advances that's going to bring to our lives that we haven't even started to see yet. And a cryptocurrency is just something that needs a blockchain to be able to move around and basically exist. The leader of all those, of course, is Bitcoin. It's the most famous one. And this chart here kind of tells me, this is a year-to-year chart here. You can see the Bitcoin story right here, stayed in flat for a long time, and then mid-2017 just started to edge up slightly. This is a huge breakout there in price, by the way, and then up and up and up. And then just recently, around the sort of turn of the year, 17 to 18, we see this massive and obviously, unsustainable. We're saying that with hindsight, I know, but these things, they really just inevitably come back to trend. They come back to, their average, if you like. One of the things that bothered me about this recent advance, we did see some support there, and there was a sort of trend there. But that, and if that wasn't going to hold, then it's really more about doing what healthy uptrends should do. And after a spike up was coming back to their 40-week moving average, and that's kind of what's happening here. It just so happens that it was from a very lofty height this whole thing started and comes down again. There's a lot of pain out there right now. There's people who bought Bitcoin for 19,000 and now it's down, as I write, about 8,400. So a lot of understandably disillusioned people, but they're not watching the chart, looking at things like this to sort of just stay calm and not just get carried away with these periodic hysteria that are going to happen, it seems, through this onwards trend. The bull tries to take as few people as possible with him for the ride, and when money comes in late at the top peaks like that, it's called the dumb money, and the bull just loves to throw off the dumb money to show you that, look, it's not just a free ride. Having said that, we are at an important inflection point for Bitcoin, and this where we're at right now really has to sort of, this is very much a sort of inflection point this week, and it has to hold right here, actually, because if I draw this, you can see the sort of trend line I'm talking about now, which does mirror the 40-week there, which is the blue line. I can now draw this because the week is over, and I can try and connect some points here to get some kind of a feeling about this line here, and that is a strong one because it's going back best part of a year there. We can see it bouncing off and it's come right back down to it. That line has to hold. If it doesn't hold there, then the 40-week moving average must hold. But this is a proxy for Bitcoin, just an ETF really. So if I actually was to look at the chart of Bitcoin, and I was saying last week that 10,000 was like a psychological important number, and I was interested in that because it was holding around there. Let's try and get about 10,000 line around there, something like that. You could see that line of support over here, just there like that. Big psychological round number. That's not to say it's going to hold it. What that means is that it's quite a meaningful line, and if it breaks that, it's going to go down. And that's what you saw that this week. You saw it did not hold that 10,000, and therefore the result is the carnage that you see now, and it fell another 16% as I write. Now here's what's interesting about this chart. This blue line here is the 200-day moving average, and what's interesting is that it's kissed it, it's bounced off, and just as I write, it's coming back down again. This is the line in the sand, really. That's not to say Bitcoin's going to be over, but from a technical standpoint, if it decisively closes and hangs around too long below this 200-day moving average, it will not be healthy. Bad things happen below the 200-day moving average. You know, the chart is the chart, and it's just a measure of human psychology. There's nothing black magic about it. It works, and cryptocurrencies are no different to anything else. Just because the human emotions of fear and greed don't disappear just because this new thing called cryptocurrencies, and that's why we look at the chart. If I was to draw a line here, let's see if we can. This is the actual currency. Don't forget, something like this, somewhere around there maybe, and that makes sense because that's sort of lined up with a 200-day. You know, they do like to trade in these sort of triangles. I've noticed, like there's a wedge there and a wedge there, and if it breaks the wedge, it keeps going down. That's an interesting pattern to note. But of course, Bitcoin isn't the only cryptocurrency out there, is it? Let's see how Ethereum did. And I mean, in recent weeks, I've been commentating and telling you that money was going out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, and just to remind you of that, here's the sort of league table, as it were, of all the cryptocurrencies. And I was explaining that the last couple of weeks that Ethereum was closing the gap here in terms of market capitalization, money being put into it pretty much, and catching up Bitcoin. You can see the gap is closed dramatically. It wasn't long ago. This was like Bitcoin had about 250 here instead of 138, and Ethereum was well below that. It was sort of like, under 100. That was just in a few weeks, I think. So the gap was closed massively, and I was explaining that. And if we look at the if I look at the chart of Ethereum, I can see that yes, it's getting hammered along with everything else, but the uptrend is very much intact. In fact, this sort of line here is a kind of like a support. It needs to hold around there. And that uptrend's still there, and that really, you know, the chart says a lot about this picture here. Ethereum has been the one to watch. I think Ethereum is going to be the more commercial business-to-business application, which will be a much bigger market because of all the intrinsic contracts to do with it and so on. And Bitcoin's going to be more the sort of everyday retail, you know, man in the street kind of version. But I think this is a two-horse race pretty much right now. You've obviously got Ripple and so on, and others Litecoin that I'm watching, but you know, right now these are the ones to watch. But what's interesting to note is that there's just been money flowing out of the cryptocurrency market. Either that or they're just getting spread thin over other ones, but the actual numbers have dropped in terms of market capitalization. So you might just be having, look, there's a bit of just people pulling money, they're pulling their horns back in a little bit after this splurge that's been going on lately in everything from stocks to real estate, you name it. Just checking on Ripple then. Yeah, this one took a hammering just along with Bitcoin, same as anything else, and it's approaching its 200-day. Litecoin, this one actually like kissed below it. It's hard to see. We really go by closing prices, but because this is open 24/7, it's hard to say closing price. But we'll just do our best. It does have these little horizontal pegs on it on this Stockfolio app, but I think that's just sort of talking about the average, you know, stock trading day. It closes at 4 p.m., which isn't unreasonable. We've got a similar sort of picture going on there. Let's look at Stellar, which is one on my radar. And it's interesting to note that this was sort of a new thing I was watching, and that, like Ethereum, is sort of holding its uptrend a lot better. Dash, similar story. Challenged its 200-day, bouncing off for now. The line needs to hold. There's a new one on my radar, and I want to tell you about it. It's called KuCoin. It's fairly new, so that's why the chart is quite new, and there's a nice line of support formed. Interesting to note that it didn't get much of a beating in the last week, along with everything else. It's just sort of held position nicely. And this is artificial intelligence tokens. The thing in the artificial intelligence world is that, you know, you want to sample people's work for artificial intelligence, but you don't want to they don't want you to rip them off for your ideas. So by using the blockchain technology and these coupons, as it were, to sort of sample artificial intelligence with KuCoin, it really is an artificial intelligence to robotics and so on is obviously a huge market. I'm definitely watching this one here, and it's in a nice position already. So that's the actual currencies. But remember, there's two sides to this. There's also the business side of things. Let's check in a little note about BitClub Network. Now, remember, if you haven't noticed this last week or so, if you were going to join the mining pool, let me just show you. Bits and Pieces is your sponsor. If you haven't gone yet to open a mining pool, I don't know what you're waiting for. Now, remember, you see the price of Bitcoin. This is like a 6-year deal or a 3-year deal. We're not paying attention to the daily fluctuations of Bitcoin like this week. We're just saying, look, I want to lock in Bitcoin at this kind of price for the next 3 to 6 years. What you're saying is then I believe Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are going up over the next 3 years. And I want to be paid in those currencies all through it. And of course, the great thing about that is you're getting paid in the cryptocurrency no matter how high they go. There's your sponsor's name, Bits and Pieces. Go to bitclubnetwork.com. With my flashy pop-up here, bitclubnetwork.com, and then you're going to get your sponsor name, it's Bits and Pieces. And then once you get here, you just choose one of these. This one's going to be just mining Bitcoin, I believe, the founders pool. The one I've gone for is this GPU pool here. You have an option, 1,000 or 5,000. You get 2,000 days mining. And they're going to be doing more like things like Ethereum, you see, which is really, I think, more of a profit potential with that one. And you get better value with 2,000 days. I really think that's the one to go. Now, you need to be, they've just changed, you need to be paying in Bitcoin Cash. So when you go and open your Coinbase wallet, coinbase.com, and you change your money into cryptocurrencies, because BitClub wants to be paid in cryptos. Don't change it into Bitcoin. You're going to be, because you're getting fees and so on. You change it into Bitcoin Cash, this one. And if you've been waiting because they've just had a changeover period, now they've just said February the 1st, so you're good to go now. So and if cryptocurrencies, if Bitcoin does turn around from here, this is a nice entry point to be transferring your pounds into Bitcoin Cash, so you're effectively sort of like getting this mining pool at a discount. So thank you for all your ideas as well about spreading the word and marketing this. That's really an additional like a bonus opportunity here, just telling others what they need to know about cryptocurrencies and getting them under you in this mining pool. Well done for that. And also, when you go into when you start getting people under you, go to my team and go to the binary tree and make sure you balance people out left and right underneath you, so the whole tree instead of just one line there. All right, that's all for this week. Hang in there along with Bitcoin, hopefully, and all the others, and I will speak to you next time.